You arrive in Nicaragua, and almost instantly it feels different. Not just another country in Central America, but a place that seems to bend time, that seems suspended between ancient landscapes and modern life. The air itself greets you with a strange duality. Warm, heavy with humidity, yet alive with the crispness of the volcanic earth beneath your feet. You breathe in, and it smells like wood smoke mixed with salt from the Pacific, like fruit ripening under the sun, like soil freshly overturned by rain. The first step onto this land sets the tone. It's not just a journey, it's an immersion into a world that feels both familiar and utterly alien. The cities themselves rise like living mosaics. Granada, for instance, is more than a city. It's a painting that refuses to fade. Cobblestone streets ripple underfoot, lined with colonial facades that glow in the late afternoon light. Yellows, blues, and reds seem exaggerated, almost surreal, as if the entire town has been dipped in some hyper-saturated dreamscape. Horses clip-clop past as locals sell fruit in woven baskets, while tourists drift lazily on horse-drawn carriages. Yet behind this postcard, beauty lies centuries of history, conquests, revolutions, fires, and rebirths. Every archway and cathedral bell tower seems to whisper the story of survival, of resilience baked into the identity of the Nicaraguan people. Drive outside the city and Nicaragua shifts again. Suddenly, the ground splits open into something primeval. Volcanoes dominate the horizon, vast mountains of fire and ash that rise like giants watching over the land. Masaya, with its churning lava lake, glows ominously against the night sky, the Earth's very heart on full display. Standing at the edge of the Santiago crater, you look down into a roiling pit of molten rock, the air tasting of sulfur, heat licking at your skin. Your instincts telling you to step back even as your eyes refuse to look away. It is otherworldly, like staring into a portal leading to the planet's core, a reminder that Nicaragua is alive in the most literal sense of the word. But just as the volcanoes suggest destruction, they also nurture life. The soil here is among the most fertile in the world, feeding endless rows of coffee plants, tobacco fields, and fruit orchards. You wander into the highlands near Matagalpa, and the air changes, cooler, scented with pine and coffee blossoms. Farmers move through emerald hills, tending to crops that will one day fill mugs and cigars around the world. There's a rhythm to their work, passed down through generations, tied not to the ticking of a clock, but to the cycles of rain, sun, and soil. Here, life feels elemental, dictated by nature's tempo. The lakes of Nicaragua add yet another surreal dimension. Lake Nicaragua, the largest freshwater lake in Central America, stretches like an inland sea, so vast you can stand at its shore and mistake it for the ocean. Yet unlike the ocean, this lake holds secrets, freshwater sharks that defy biological expectations, darting silently beneath the waves. Dotting the lake's surface are hundreds of tiny islets, some inhabited by fishermen who cast nets from wooden boats, others by families who've lived on their miniature slices of paradise for generations. Then there's Ometepe, an island unlike any other, formed by two volcanoes rising from the water like twin guardians. It's a place where myths feel tangible, where petroglyphs etched into stone tell of civilizations long gone, and where each path leads you deeper into the uncanny sensation that you've crossed into another realm altogether. As you journey through Nicaragua, you realize that the contrasts are its defining feature. The Pacific coast offers long stretches of golden sand, waves crashing against cliffs, surfers riding the power of the ocean with fearless grace. San Juan del Sur buzzes with energy, bars spilling music onto the streets, backpackers chasing sunsets, fishermen dragging in their catch as the horizon glows orange. Yet a few miles north, the coast transforms into quiet, secluded beaches, where turtles drag themselves ashore under moonlight to lay eggs, where you can walk for hours without another soul in sight. Then comes the Caribbean coast, and once again, Nicaragua reinvents itself. Here the Spanish colonial influences fade, replaced by Creole, Mestizo, and Garifuna cultures that blend African, indigenous, and European traditions into something wholly unique. In blue fields, reggae rhythms spill from doorways, while on the Corn Islands, time feels like it has slowed to a crawl. Turquoise water laps gently against white sand. Palm trees sway lazily overhead, and the food, lobster, coconut rice, fried plantains, feels like a love letter from the ocean itself. The Corn Islands could be mistaken for a Caribbean cliché, if not for their rawness, their authenticity. They're not polished for tourism, they simply are. Unfiltered, unpretentious, and endlessly beautiful. Yet beyond landscapes and coastlines, it's the people of Nicaragua who anchor the sense of being in another world. There is resilience here that humbles you. This is a nation that has endured dictatorship, war, earthquakes, hurricanes, and poverty. Yet its people radiate warmth that feels almost disarming. Walk through a village, and you're greeted with smiles, with an offer of food or a hammock to rest in. Sit with a family over gallo pinto, and you'll learn that generosity here isn't an act of charity. It's a way of life, woven into the cultural fabric. Their pride in their heritage, their music, their land is palpable, and it transforms your perception of what wealth and richness truly mean. In Leon, a city of revolution, the spirit of resilience becomes almost tangible. Murals splash across walls, telling stories of Sandinistas, of students who marched, of battles fought for freedom. The cathedral here, the largest in Central America, casts long shadows across the plaza, and if you climb to its rooftop, you're rewarded with a panorama of volcanoes lined up like soldiers on the horizon. Leon is fiery in its energy, intellectual, rebellious, alive with youthful spirit. It reminds you that Nicaragua isn't just about landscapes, it's about identity, about a people unafraid to fight for their voice. Travel north to Somoto Canyon, and once again, the land reveals something almost extraterrestrial. Carved over millions of years, the canyon feels like a hidden passage into another dimension. You float along its cool river, walls of stone towering above you, echoes bouncing back with each splash. Birds soar overhead, and you catch yourself whispering, as though your voice might break the spell. It's serene and humbling, and you realize that Nicaragua doesn't just show you landscapes. It swallows you whole, pulling you into its textures, its sounds, its silence. Even in its quieter corners, the country feels like another planet. Small villages in the highlands move at a pace so slow it feels like time has been forgotten. Elderly women in rocking chairs weave hammocks on their porches, children kick soccer balls down dusty roads, and the occasional bus, a riot of color and noise, rolls by like a carnival on wheels. There's a simplicity here, but it's deceptive. Beneath it lies a deep wisdom, a way of living in harmony with nature, of finding joy not in abundance, but in connection. Nightfall in Nicaragua deepens the mystery. The sky, largely free from light pollution, ignites with stars so dense they resemble a spilled box of jewels. From a hammock, you watch constellations glide across the heavens, fireflies blinking in rhythm with the cosmos. The soundscape shifts, crickets, frogs, distant howls from the forest, all blending into a nocturnal symphony that feels ancient, eternal. In these moments, the sense of being on another planet reaches its peak. You're both small and infinite, a guest in a land that humbles and elevates you all at once. Morning in Nicaragua begins with sound before sight. Roosters crow long before the sun lifts, dogs bark in distant villages, and vendors with carts clink bottles or call out fresh bread. Then slowly, light spills across the horizon. The volcanoes catch it first, their slopes painted gold, while valleys remain wrapped in mist. From the doorway of a small inn or a hammock tied between trees, you watch the world awaken in colors so rich they almost feel exaggerated. The greens of the foliage glisten with dew, the sky deepens from violet to indigo to azure, and the entire land breathes awake as if pulled from a dream. Exploring Managua, the capital, adds another layer to this strange planet feeling. Unlike Granada or Leon, it isn't a neatly preserved colonial city. Managua is messy, sprawling, sometimes overwhelming, but undeniably alive. Here, old and new collide. Glass towers rise beside weathered buildings. Street vendors cluster beneath overpasses, while massive monuments from different eras dominate traffic circles. The scars of the 1972 earthquake linger in abandoned ruins, while new plazas brim with families on weekend nights. The cathedral, still crumbled from decades past, stands as both reminder and symbol of what was lost and what continues to endure. Travel east again, and the land shifts yet another time. The rainforest spreads wide, a humid, endless expanse where life multiplies in every direction. Howler monkeys roar from treetops, their cries carrying for miles, while scarlet macaws flash red and yellow against the green. Step off the main road, and you enter an entirely different rhythm. Villages in the Rio San Juan region live in intimate proximity to nature. Boats replace buses. The river is both highway and lifeline. Children paddle dugout canoes to school. Fishermen glide silently across the current. And at night, the jungle hums so loudly, it becomes a kind of living silence, a wall of sound that silences your own thoughts. The Rio San Juan itself feels like myth turned reality. Flowing from Lake Nicaragua to the Caribbean Sea, it has been a coveted passage for centuries, once eyed as a potential canal route before Panama claimed the prize. As you drift along its waters, the jungle closes in, ruins of Spanish forts appear, and you realize you are moving through history layered onto wilderness. Every bend of the river carries both the weight of past struggles and the promise of untouched beauty. It is Nicaragua in microcosm, contested, scarred, but stunningly alive. The arts, too, show Nicaragua's otherworldliness. Music isn't confined to stages. It pours from homes, churches, and streets. Marimba rhythms mix with folk songs, while younger generations blend reggaeton with local sounds, creating something hybrid yet distinctly Nicaraguan. Poetry carries an especially deep resonance here, with Rubén Darío celebrated as a national treasure, his words etched into the identity of the people. Festivals explode with color, masks, and dance, traditions blending Catholic rituals with indigenous symbolism, all forming a tapestry that feels ancient and modern at once. And then, there are the moments of stillness, those rare pauses when Nicaragua's intensity softens. Sitting on the edge of a crater lake, like Laguna de Apoyo, the water perfectly still, you feel as if you're inside a bowl carved by gods. The cliffs rise around you, shielding you from wind and noise, while the water, warmed by volcanic activity, soothes you into silence. Hours pass without notice, the world reduced to ripples, reflections, and your own breath. In places like this, Nicaragua doesn't just feel like another planet. It feels like a sanctuary, one that insists you stop, notice, and be present. But the country is not without its contradictions. Political tensions linger, shaping daily life in ways not always visible to a visitor. Conversations with locals sometimes touch cautiously on leadership, protests, or struggles with censorship. You sense both weariness and determination, an unspoken resilience that mirrors the land itself. It reminds you that beauty and hardship coexist here in ways that resist simple narratives. Nicaragua is not a paradise untouched. It is a land constantly negotiating its scars and strengths, and that very complexity is part of its allure. Even as you reflect on these contrasts, you realize that travel here isn't about ticking off sites. It's about surrendering to transformation. Nicaragua doesn't politely entertain. It confronts, challenges, and envelops you. You leave not with souvenirs, but with stories etched into your bones, of climbing volcanoes under stars, of being offered food by strangers with nothing to spare, of drifting through rainforests where time itself feels irrelevant. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown useful, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with a friend, and subscribe for more deep dives made simple. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your take. See you in the next one.